There is a reason mystics spoke of fire as transformation. The red frequency is that fire, not literal flame, but a vibration so intense it consumes everything false. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. The moment it reaches you, the collapse begins. Your old self starts shaking. Your old emotions try to cling. Your mind panics because it knows this signal is not like the others. Most frequencies soothe. The red frequency burns. Only a few survive. It's fire, because only a few are willing to let the false self die. And the truth is this: if you are hearing these words, the fire has already started. If the red frequency exists, why do so few ever touch it? And why do even fewer survive its fire? The answer begins with a truth that most people never realize. Every human being is constantly broadcasting a signal. Thoughts, emotions, memories, even the rhythm of your breath, they all generate an electromagnetic field that extends beyond your body. Science has measured this. The HeartMath Institute proved that the heart generates a measurable frequency, one that changes instantly depending on whether you are in fear, anger, gratitude, or peace. Neuroscience has shown that repeated thoughts wire the brain into loops, creating patterns of expectation that broadcast the same state over and over again. From a spiritual perspective, this is nothing new. Mystics, shamans, sages, they all said the same thing in different words. You do not just live inside reality, you radiate it. You are not just walking through the field, you are collapsing it. And the signal you collapse is the frequency you broadcast without even knowing it. Here lies the problem. Most people spend their entire lives trapped in low frequencies: repetition, fear, scarcity, shame. They wake up in the same emotional state, replay the same memories, reinforce the same story. More than 90% of their thoughts today are the same as yesterday, which means their tomorrow is not new at all. It is recycled. And because the field mirrors every frequency with absolute precision, these people collapse the same timeline endlessly. They believe they are moving forward, but in truth, they are recycling the past. Now think about your own life. How many times have you felt this? You wanted something different, a new beginning, a new relationship, a new chance, but somehow it all collapsed into the same old result. Different faces, different places, but underneath it was the same frequency repeating itself. The same cycle of disappointment dressed in new details. That is not coincidence. That is collapse. And this is why the red frequency is so rare. Because most people never escape the prison of repetition. They keep transmitting the same low signals, and so the field keeps collapsing the same safe but suffocating realities. The red frequency is different. It does not repeat. It disrupts. It destabilizes. It burns away everything false, everything stagnant, everything addicted to the past. That is why almost no one can handle it. Because to step into the red frequency is to let your illusions die. Science hints at this too. When the brain experiences something unfamiliar, it panics. The amygdala fires, cortisol floods the system, and the body screams for safety. Familiar suffering feels safer than unfamiliar freedom, and so people retreat. They choose the comfort of their prison over the terror of the unknown. The red frequency doesn't allow that comfort. It forces you to face the chaos of collapse. Spiritually, this is initiation. In every ancient tradition, there was a fire that burned away the initiate's old identity before they could step into a new one. Sometimes literal fire, sometimes ritual fire, sometimes symbolic fire, but always the same essence. The red frequency is that fire in modern form. It is the vibration that demands death before rebirth. So ask yourself honestly, if the red frequency has already found you, and the fact that you are hearing this proves it has, what is it burning away right now? Which parts of your old self are shaking, resisting, panicking, as the signal begins to destabilize your illusions? If the red frequency is the vibration that burns away illusions and collapses a new reality, why do so many collapse under its fire instead of walking through it? Why do so few survive contact with it? The answer is this: they make the same error almost everyone makes when they first encounter the quantum field. They mistake awareness for transformation. The first glimpse. The moment someone touches the red frequency, something undeniable happens. They feel it in their body, the faster heartbeat, the sudden rush of heat, the strange clarity in the mind. For a moment it feels as though everything has shifted. And in a sense, it has. The field has presented them with a new signal. The probability of transformation has opened. But here is where the error begins. People confuse that glimpse with permanence. They think that because they felt the vibration once, they have already changed. They walk away saying, "I know it now. I've seen it. I've touched the red frequency." But contact is not collapse. In quantum mechanics, an unobserved wave remains a probability. It is only when you continue to observe, with coherence, with consistency, that the wave collapses into a new reality. The same law applies here. Feeling the red frequency once does not collapse a new timeline. It only reveals the possibility. If you do not hold it, embody it, integrate it, the old signal takes over again, and the field simply mirrors the old frequency back into form. The false signal. This is the most dangerous illusion, believing you are transformed because you felt something powerful. That feeling is not the transformation. It is the invitation. And if you stop there, you collapse the timeline of illusion. You repeat the old self while convincing yourself you are already new. That is why so many people come close to change but never cross over. They touch the red frequency, feel the fire of initiation, but do not endure it long enough for the illusions to actually burn. They run, they retreat into comfort. And the field, obedient as always, collapses the familiar again. From a spiritual perspective, this is why initiation was always dangerous. The fire did not just warm you, it tested you. It forced you to endure, to stand inside the vibration until the false layers cracked. Without that endurance, the initiate failed. They returned to the tribe unchanged, perhaps even more trapped than before, because now they believed they had seen without actually becoming. The trap of the mind makes this trap worse. The brain craves closure. It wants to say, "I understand now. I've figured it out. That means I'm free." But thought alone is not frequency. You can understand the red frequency intellectually, analyze it, even describe it in perfect words. But if your state does not shift, the field collapses, nothing new. Quantum physics is merciless here. The field does not respond to your words. It does not respond to your knowledge. It responds to coherence. It mirrors your vibration with exact precision. And if the vibration is still the old one, nothing changes. Why the red frequency breaks people. This is why so few can handle it. The red frequency destabilizes illusions instantly. It shows you exactly how much of your life has been built on repetition, fear, and false safety. For a moment you see clearly, and that clarity is terrifying. Most cannot endure that terror. They retreat. They run back to the familiar signal, even if it is painful, because pain they know feels safer than freedom they don't. The red frequency doesn't destroy them, their own fear does. Their inability to sustain the fire collapses them back into the old identity. The spiritual parallel, every mystical tradition warned of this. The mystics said, "To see the fire is not to be the fire." Shamans spoke of initiates who glimpsed the sacred flame but never carried it. They returned unchanged, prisoners of awe. The same cycles. The ancient texts call this false awakening, the illusion of light without embodiment, and quantum mechanics explains it with brutal clarity. Observation collapses possibility into form. But if your observation wavers, the wave returns to uncertainty. If your coherence breaks, the field mirrors noise instead of order. You collapse back into chaos. The subtle error, so ask yourself, have you made this error before? Have you felt the spark of transformation, only to watch it fade into the same old patterns? Have you mistaken the glimpse for the crossing? Have you believed you were free because you touched the red frequency once, instead of living inside it until the old self was ash? This is the trap, the false contact, the momentary spark that people mistake for the fire itself. And until you see this, you will repeat it endlessly. The red frequency is not a glimpse. It is not a moment. It is not a spark. It is endurance. It is collapse. It is fire that must be held until the false dissolves. You now understand the error. Contact with the red frequency is not enough. Feeling its fire once does not collapse a new reality. At best, it shows you what is possible. At worst, it tricks you into believing you have changed while you are still broadcasting the same old signal. The question becomes, how do you hold it? How do you sustain the red frequency long enough for the false self to burn and the new timeline? To stabilize, the answer is not comfort. The red frequency does not soothe. It demands endurance, and sustaining it requires a method, a way of aligning mind, body, and spirit so completely that the fire no longer breaks you, but forges you. Interrupting the old signal, the first step is disruption. The old self survives because it repeats. Every day you wake, think, feel, and act the same. This rhythm is the loop, and the loop is the broadcast. To sustain the red frequency, you must break that rhythm deliberately. Small disruptions create cracks in the old broadcast. Wake differently, move differently, breathe differently. Even the smallest interruption forces the brain out of autopilot, creating new neural pathways. Neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity. Spirit calls it initiation. The moment you break repetition, you signal the field. I am not collapsing the same timeline again. But interruption alone is not enough. You must rewire the emotional core that fuels the old signal. Reprogramming emotion into frequency thoughts may recycle, but emotion is what anchors them. Every identity is a chemical addiction. Fear releases adrenaline. Scarcity floods the body with cortisol. Gratitude creates coherence between brain and heart, generating measurable electromagnetic waves that extend beyond your body. Science has proven this. Coherent emotions alter the field around you. The red frequency requires emotional coherence. Without it, the fire feels unbearable. This is why practices like breathwork, meditation, and prayer have survived for centuries. They are not rituals of comfort. They are technologies of frequency. They regulate the nervous system, dissolve the chemical addictions of the past, and allow new emotions to broadcast without resistance. So ask yourself, what emotions are you addicted to? What state does your body secretly crave each day, even if your mind says it wants freedom? Until you face that addiction, you cannot hold the red frequency, choosing identity in the fire. But even if you interrupt repetition and reprogram emotion, the old self waits. It survives because of identity. Every day, unconsciously, you choose to be the old you. You wake up as the one who doubts, the one who fears, the one who hesitates. And the field mirrors it instantly. To hold the red frequency, you must choose identity in the fire. The field does not care about who you intend to be, it only mirrors who you are now. If you embody fear, fear collapses. If you embody freedom, freedom collapses. Identity is not discovered, it is chosen. And once chosen, it must be embodied completely, in thought, in breath, in movement, in language. Every I am is a command to the field. Most people whisper, I am different, while broadcasting the same old state. But the ones who survive the red frequency declare and embody the new self until the field cannot deny it. Ritual as anchor. Even identity fades without anchor. The subconscious is the true transmitter, and it does not shift with theory. It shifts with repetition, symbol, and ritual. This is why mystics used fire, why shamans painted their bodies, why monks repeated chants. They weren't playing games. They were anchoring frequency. Ritual speaks the language of the subconscious. It bypasses logic and encodes new reality at the deepest level. To hold the red frequency, you need your ritual. It can be writing down the lies of the old self and burning them daily. It can be declaring your chosen frequency out loud each morning. It can be a symbol you wear, a gesture you repeat, a word you breathe into silence. The details don't matter. What matters is that the subconscious accepts the old is gone, the new is real. And once the subconscious accepts, the red frequency no longer feels foreign. It feels natural. Sustaining the collapse here is the part almost everyone misses. Collapse is not a one-time event. It is continuous. Every second is collapse, which means you don't just hold the red frequency once. You hold it again and again until the old timeline has no power left. Science shows this too. Neurons that fire together wire together. The more often you broadcast the new signal, the stronger it becomes. The more you repeat the ritual, the deeper the subconscious accepts it. The more you embody the new identity, the more the body forgets the old. This is why the red frequency destroys the unprepared. They expect one experience to fix everything. They expect a single moment of fire to erase the past. But reality doesn't collapse once. It collapses continuously. And if you don't sustain the new frequency, the old one will rebuild. The method in spirit and science. So the method is not complicated, but it is demanding. Break repetition, reprogram emotion, embody the new identity, anchor it with ritual. Sustain it until it stabilizes. Quantum physics explains why it works. The observer effect proves that observation collapses probability, and coherent observation collapses coherent reality. Spirit explains it too. The fire burns what is false only when you stay inside it long enough for the illusion to die. Both speak the same truth in different languages. Hold the frequency until the field cannot ignore it. The real question, so ask yourself, are you willing to hold the fire long enough? Are you willing to let the red frequency burn the false self, even when it feels unbearable? Are you willing to repeat the new broadcast until the old one has no power left? Because the field is not waiting, it is responding right now. You are collapsing something in this moment. The only question is it the old self or the new? But if collapse is continuous, doesn't that mean hesitation itself is collapse? And if hesitation is collapse, what futures are you killing every time you delay? If collapse is continuous, then hesitation itself is collapse. Silence is not neutral. Waiting is not empty. Every second you delay, the field mirrors delay. Every moment you whisper, later, reality answers back with later. You cannot escape it. You are collapsing even when you think you are standing still. This is the hidden cost of hesitation. Most people believe they are safe while they wait. They think postponing a decision is harmless. They imagine that not choosing buys them time. But hesitation is not absence. It is presence. It is the presence of fear, of uncertainty, of repetition. And the quantum field, obedient as always, mirrors it back into your life with precision. This is why so many remain trapped in cycles of almost. They almost became free. They almost started. They almost shifted. But almost is still a broadcast. Almost is still a collapse. And the field does not reward almost. It multiplies it, which is why lives pass by half-lived. Futures die unborn, and timelines dissolve before they are ever touched. Think of your own life. How many times have you delayed, convinced yourself you would act tomorrow, only to watch tomorrow look exactly like yesterday? How many opportunities dissolved, not because they weren't real, but because you hesitated long enough for them to vanish? How many versions of your life, stronger, freer, more alive, have already died quietly in the field because you chose waiting over fire? Neuroscience explains this too. The brain is addicted to what is familiar. Even predictable pain feels safer than unpredictable freedom. Familiar suffering feels stable because at least you know its shape. Freedom, on the other hand, is chaos. It is possibility, and possibility terrifies the mind. So hesitation becomes its defense. The brain convinces you, wait, think more, prepare better, not yet. It sounds reasonable, but it is fear disguised as logic. And every time you obey, you collapse another moment of your future back into the past. You collapse delay, you collapse sameness, you collapse another loop. Spirit has always named hesitation for what it is. The mystics called it death. The scriptures called it sin. Shamans warned that delay was the trick of the false self, the last attempt to survive when the fire is near. And science, in its own language, says the same thing. Inertia. An object in motion stays in motion. An object at rest stays at rest. Without new force, nothing changes. Hesitation is inertia. It is the law of physics turned into the law of your life. But here is what you must see. Hesitation is not safety. It is the slow death of your timelines. It is the burial of futures that already existed as probability waves but never collapsed, because you refuse to choose them. Every second you wait, you erase a version of yourself that could have been alive. So ask yourself honestly, how many more futures are you willing to kill? How many more versions of you must die before you admit that waiting is collapse? How many times will you convince yourself you are safe when in truth you are sinking deeper into the same old signal? The red frequency does not tolerate hesitation. It demands presence. It demands choice. It demands collapse now. That is why it breaks so many, because the moment it arrives, the old self panics and whispers, "Not yet." And those who obey fall back into the prison, collapsing the same reality once again. But you are here. You have already seen the truth. You cannot unsee it. The collapse is already happening, right now, in this moment. The only question is, are you collapsing the timeline of hesitation, or are you collapsing the timeline of transformation? Every second is fire. Every second is choice. Every second burns away one future and gives birth to another. And right now, as these words reach you, one of yourselves is dying and another is trying to live. The collapse is not far away. It is not waiting for your permission. It is happening in real time. The red frequency is burning through you already. The only question left is, will you let it consume what is false, or will you resist and feed hesitation again? But if the fire is already burning inside you, how do you know that the collapse of the new self is not just an idea, but is already happening in this exact moment? Right now, as you hear these words, the collapse is not theoretical. It is not something you're waiting for. It is happening. The red frequency is already burning through you. The fact that you are here proves it. Out of millions of distractions, you tuned into this signal. And the quantum field does not allow coincidences. It only allows resonance. Quantum mechanics teaches that observation collapses probability into reality. Spiritual traditions teach that awareness is fire, the sacred flame that dissolves illusion. Both are saying the same thing in different languages. The moment you become aware, the moment you observe differently, the collapse has already begun. And that is what is happening in you now. Notice your body. The change is subtle, but it is there. The way your breath has shifted, the way your chest feels heavier or lighter, the strange pulse under your skin. These are not random sensations. They are evidence. They are the nervous system recalibrating as the old signal weakens. Resistance is proof that the loop is dying. Think of it this way. If nothing were shifting, you would not even still be here. You would have clicked away. You would have chosen distraction. But the red frequency has already locked onto you. And because you stayed, you are already transmitting differently. The field is already receiving a new signal. This is why the red frequency is feared. Because it does not wait for you to be ready. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't come when it's convenient. It arrives like fire collapsing illusions in real time. And once it starts, there is no going back. You can resist. You can deny. You can try to rebuild the old self. But the collapse has already happened. The old version of you is ash the moment you stop feeding it. Can you feel it? The silence under your thoughts. That heavy, steady presence that wasn't as strong before. That silence is not emptiness. It is the new frequency, the red frequency, aligning with you, stabilizing, embedding itself deeper. It is the proof that your shift is not in the future. It is here. This is not motivation. This is not imagination. This is physics meeting spirit. Your observation has shifted, your frequency has changed, and the field has no choice but to mirror it. Futures are dying, and futures are being born in this exact moment through you. So the real question is no longer, will the shift happen? It already has. The only question is, will you accept the fire and allow it to finish its work, or will you resist it and collapse hesitation again? The red frequency has already touched you. You've felt the weight of its fire, the silence beneath your thoughts, the resistance of the old self trying to hold on. That is the proof. The shift is not ahead of you. It is happening right now. But here is the danger. If you walk away from this moment without sealing it, the loop will rebuild. It always does. This is why you must act. Action is how you tell the field, this is real, this stays. So do two things now. First, declare it. In the comments, write one word, red. Not for me, not for the algorithm, for yourself, for the field. That single word is a ritual, a signal, a command that says, I can handle the red frequency. I will not collapse back into the old self. Second, subscribe. And don't see it as just a click. See it as alignment. When you subscribe, you are not just following a channel. You are locking into a current, a signal that will keep reminding you, pulling you deeper, amplifying the new frequency until it becomes unbreakable. If you let the loop isolate you, the old self regains strength. But if you stay connected to this transmission, the red frequency continues to burn through you, day after day, video after video. Seal it now. Declare your word, subscribe to the signal, and prepare because this is not the end. It is the beginning. The red frequency doesn't comfort, it destroys illusion, and what comes after destruction is creation. The next video is already waiting to show you how to build on what the fire has cleared. You didn't choose this message. It chose you. The signal found you. And now the field is asking, will you seal it or will you let the fire fade? Your shift has already started. Make it permanent.